Be agreed to. Call the member for Watson.
Thanks, Deputy Speaker. The opposition will be supporting the motion that's being moved by the member for Melbourne. I think everybody now knows after that recent speech that if you're ever in trouble, there's one person you don't want to be charged with defending you, and it's the Leader of the House. That was extraordinary. He claimed there was urgent business that the House had to deal with, and then said, "Can someone please hand me a copy of it?" because he had no idea what it was. And I've got to say, if this government ever wanted to argue that there was urgent business before the House, they lost the right to do that the day they shut down the parliament. And they shut down the parliament because of the person they're now in here defending. At his request, we were told. Now, there will be lots of arguments that go back and forward in this House about the Minister for Home Affairs. But today we deal with one. We deal with one issue, which is that ministers must not mislead the parliament. And that's it. Now, when the Leader of the House says, "But what evidence has Labor provided?" Well, there's two things here. First of all, is that an important principle? And secondly, did the Minister for Home Affairs breach it? Is it an important principle? It's listed in practice as one of the reasons a minister would have to resign. It was described in 2015, more extreme language than I'd probably use, but I quote, "If you mislead Parliament, that's a cardinal sin." That was said by the Minister for Home Affairs in a radio interview. That's his view on how serious this is. So let's work out whether or not that has happened, because there's one question here. Did the minister tell the truth to the parliament? He was asked a question by the member for Melbourne, and that's why it's appropriate that it's the member for Melbourne bringing the issue to the House today. The question he was asked was this: can you categorically rule out any personal connection or other relationship between you, or any other relationship between you and the intended employer of the au pairs? And in his answer, the Minister for Home Affairs said this: the answer is yes. And then added something even stronger than what the question said. He said, and I quote, "I don't know these people. I don't know these people." He said that back on the 27th of March. Now, was he telling the truth? Was he telling the truth when he said that? And to answer the question as to whether or not that was a true statement, let's not go to my words, let's not go to my evidence, let's go to what the Minister for Home Affairs said later about the same matter. On the 3rd of September, he was asked in a press conference in Brisbane, "Minister Dutton, do you now concede that you knew the man from the police force who assisted with the visa for the au pair?" To which he described, "I've never denied that." I reckon "I don't know these people" is a denial that you knew them. The claim that he has never denied it has been made by the Minister for Home Affairs. The statement that he denied that he knew them was made by the Minister for Home Affairs right there at that dispatch box in March in answer to a question from the member for Melbourne. And never once in all the issues that the Leader of the House just danced around, watching the clock as he went, it was like the member for Higgins was making a speech. The clock was being watched for the entirety of the speech. And as the Leader of the House gave that answer, never once did he deal with the issue as to whether or not the minister had misled the House, because we all know he had. And you don't need the Labor Party to tell you that. You don't need a Senate inquiry to tell you that, because the Minister for Home Affairs has told us that. He answered a question in the House and said, "I don't know these people." Then, when asked in a doorstop interview, whether or not he knew those people, he said, "Well, I've never denied that." He did. He denied it. You will often get accusations about whether or not a minister has misled the House. You will never get one as open and shut as what is in front of us today. Because of all the evidence that you get on mislead, you rarely get the minister saying himself or herself, "Oh, I've never denied that." when the denial is what was stated in the parliament. Every
Order.
part
The
of
member
this
will resume his
mislead
seat.
is owned.
The member will resume his